Hey, welcome back to the Lightspeed Social Agency podcast, Lightspeed Lawn Care Marketing podcast. I am sitting down today with Naylor Taliaferro. You know him from LCR Media, all of the huge events that happen at Quip. You know him from his YouTube channel, all that good stuff. So, Naylor, thanks so much for coming to hang out. We haven't talked in a while.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Cody. I it has been a little while, and there's probably been some updates on both fronts, right? We've always getting into stuff, right? Always evolving, growing, and doing new things, right? So yeah, for sure, lots of updates.
Yeah, and real quickly at the top, if you are watching this in the video feed, you'll notice that I am down a beard and about foot 15 inches of hair. I went and got a haircut today, trying to look a little more professional, and I shaved, which was a real mistake. So I apologize for what you're seeing in front of you. But Naylor's being really kind about it. I hope you'll be kind in the comments. But yeah, so tell us a little bit about what you've got going on with Clean Cut this year. And then kind of you mentioned before we started recording that there were some significant changes to your allocation of your time. So walk us through that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, after, several years of trying, like the last several years, I mean, basically my initial goal when I first started my lawn care business 10 years ago, when I went from retail management full, I was doing that for 15 years and I wanted to change my life like completely. And I started my lawn care business. That was 10 years ago. And the plan was, okay, well, obviously I need to support my family financially and all that. So what, how can I do that? And while being solo is and was fun, that was never my long-term goal, and it was just something that I was starting with in the beginning. My goal was to get up to, 2, 3 crews of lawn maintenance, like figuring all the things out, like where do I want to service, what services do I want, things like that, and getting all that honed in. But the goal was always to grow big enough that it was manageable. Like I didn't want like a multi-million dollar lawn care business or anything by any means. Even in retail, I was better managing smaller stores than the bigger, high volume, busier ones. I just never had enough time to think and be creative and strategize and figure out how to do things better in those high volume situations, So I just kind of figured that out about myself, that when I can have a little bit of breathing room with the middle to small volume stores, that's where I excelled. So knowing that about myself, I didn't want to grow this massive lawn care business either. So that was the goal, was to have like a nice sized business that could support, my family and obviously itself, and have some long-term retirement goals with that potentially, and still maybe have some time for other things, not knowing what those other things would be. The main goal was to spend time with family and, try to reconnect with family, because it was very difficult during my retail days and all that. So, but quickly I stumbled upon the social media community, the infancy of it. It wasn't even really a community. It was just, a couple of guys making content regularly on YouTube. And 10 years ago, it wasn't as mainstream as it is now. It might be hard to believe because it's such a commonplace for every genre and every whatever, right? You just go on TikTok, become a bona fide celebrity nowadays of talking about anything really, right? I mean, there's something interesting, exciting, and there's a niche for just about everything out there, crazy and crazy good, crazy bad, right? And everything in between. But back then there was really not a whole lot of that. But I did I latched on to the infancy of the community there and kind of became a part of it, started creating my own content quickly into that. And never did I guess that over the years that would develop into more things, that would develop into opportunities to create content like in partnership with brands, like in exchange for, equipment to review and keep, and then, eventually getting compensated for it, different trips. Obviously, then we started going to a Quip. It was the GIE Plus Expo at the time, biggest trade show in our industry. So that was another huge draw and shift in the social media world and our community all combined. And just all these things grew, all these opportunities in general, but for me specifically, to create events for the community, as you guys have probably or potentially have heard, if you heard in my previous conversation with Cody, and all that happened, and it has just grown year after year, and it's become more and more intentional for me because I really wanted to keep doing it. Like, when I think about when I've heard a lot, I do a lot of reading and a lot of listening to books, a lot of listening to podcasts, a lot of, in the early years, 10 years ago, of self-searching and, repairing the damage of all the craziness from retail management and just trying to like self-help and all that kind of stuff and then business and there's a lot of things about like your passion, your purpose, and how do you know the difference and how do you know what is your purpose and all that. And it always comes back for me to what you're willing to do until the wee hours of the morning, like what you're willing to do till 2 o'clock in the morning for free is probably something you're passionate about, right? So you should probably double down on that and see if that's something that you can you know monetize or make make it a career of some sort, or just make it a part of your life in some way, right? Like maybe more than just a hobby or whatnot. So as much as I enjoy lawn care, it kind of has been like a stepping stone to help me evolve into other things, right? I mean, most of my content is about lawn care and helping other lawn care business owners, but then there's a lot of social media content creation involved in all that, as well as all the networking events that I host and that I've attended. And all of the things combined with that is kind of like all of my content. So it all ties up together. And now I've become very good at I have a huge network of everything of, content creators, contractors, and brands. And, my whole goal is to just constantly connect all of those together so that we can achieve great things. And the last few years, it's been a struggle for me to continue growing my business and growing LCR Media because I'm doing both of them myself.
Yeah.
LCR Media is not at the point where I need or can afford a team or anything. I mean, it's usually just a lot of my peers, like Paul Jameson, John Pajak, like a lot of, names within the community that are well known, and as well, Cody, that we've been friends for a long time. So we'll help each other out, but they're not like, staff or my employees or anything like that. We just try to help each other out the best we can. And, that's good, but it's only so good, right? And my lawn care business, I hadn't been able to get to the point where I had a couple of crew leaders and I could be more detached from it. It always kept bringing me back in, especially with COVID and not being able to find people and keep people and that whole debacle that everyone went through and trying to rebound out of that. And it was just really taking away from what I truly was passionate about, and what could potentially be part of my purpose in life. And I just didn't want that to be taken away by lawn care. Like lawn care was kind of becoming my new full-time job, quote unquote, that I was trying to like, separate myself from. My side hustle was LCR Media that I really wanted to get more into. It's like you go from one side hustle to another side hustle to another side hustle, but it's like LCR Media is at the point where it could really be more than what it is if I could dedicate some more time and mental energy to it. So I just, I made a conscious, intentional decision to, you can either keep going bigger or go smaller. And I know several content creators that have had the same, conversations with themselves, trying to figure out what's the best thing. And usually it goes with, it ends up being whatever is the easiest thing or whatever makes more sense. Like, if it seems extremely taxing to grow the business, then shrink the business. If you already have a big business and you're able to grow the business even bigger, big enough so that you can detach yourself from it a little bit, then keep doing that. Push it to that next level so that you have more time. I know some folks like that, like the Jonas Olsons, and those folks. So it's really about your temperament, your what you want to do, what's giving you the most energy. And for me, it was just hard to do both at the same level. They were both LCR Media and my lawn care business were really at the same level with time and energy and, commitment that I wanted to give. And I just couldn't do them both and have time for family and all that. So I just came to a conscious decision this year, like at the end of last year is when I came with the decision. I let my last employee go. I had one employee at the time, pretty much the second half of last year, and I didn't even bother trying to find anyone else. I'm like, whatever. I think I'm gonna, pivot, anyway. So I rode the season out, and the two of us, we got after it. But then, I let him go, and we had great conversations about it. It was all on good terms and all that kind of stuff. And went back to being solo for now. I mean, who knows what's going to happen in the future, but I wanted to take a step back from lawn care so I could take a step forward in LCR Media so I can keep creating these live events, these networking events that I am truly passionate about, and then I feel like I can impact thousands of other entrepreneurs in the trades around the world, literally, that listen to me and watch me versus just beautifying, a couple hundred or 100 lawns. Like that's all great. And I enjoy that too. But that's not really the same impact that I can make. Not every guy out there cutting grass can get on a podcast or make a YouTube video, or host an event with 600 people. I'm in a unique situation. I have very unique opportunities that I've created for myself and that have been presented to me. I don't want to let that go away. That's not everyone has these opportunities. So why just throw that away and just focus on building a big lawn care business if that's not really what it seems like, the direction I need to go right now. Like I just feel driven to keep growing LCR Media, to keep impacting thousands, hopefully impacting. I know I have impacted many lives, other entrepreneurs in the trades throughout my content and live events. So that's kind of the biggest update for me is going back to being solo and dedicating, at least one day a week to this kind of stuff, creating content, planning events and all that so that I can keep building that and hopefully get that to the point where I can maybe reduce lawn care even more. I don't think I would ever completely get rid of it because I do enjoy it and it's obviously great for content, keeps me, in the mix of everything. But at the same time, it's got to be manageable so that I can, not take away from LCR Media. And also in the downsizing.
Before I let Naylor finish up that story there, I wanted to jump in and remind you that we now have a Lightspeed Patreon available. That gets you not the traditional like bonus content behind the scenes, although there might be some of that. What it gets you is actually valuable to your business. It gets you done for you marketing materials, copy and paste marketing materials. If you subscribe at the higher level, it gets you a once a month consultation for me to go over your marketing strategy, figure out what you need in your lawn care business. This is huge for your fall. Please sign up at the link down below and we will get you started. Starts at $25 a month, super affordable. Anybody that's subscribed to the channel can do this and it will grow your lawn care business by leaps and bounds this fall. All right, back to Naylor.
Part of that was I sold one of my routes. I'm all about route density. And so all of my routes are super tight and I have, like over 20 something yards in each route. So my biggest route was 26 properties in one HOA, one homeowner association, one neighborhood. So I sold that off to a local competitor / friend of mine that wanted to grow, obviously, and he saw the opportunity of that neighborhood. And I honestly am more focused on lawn maintenance and I couldn't even seize the opportunities fully of those 26 accounts that I had. I would usually have to refer a lot of that work out to other local landscapers that had the big trucks and dump trailers and all that stuff. And they can do all the big mulch jobs and the shrubs and all these things, like I could only do so much. Like it was all about mowing, fertilization, weed control for me. Yes, we would aerate and seed, of course, in the fall. And we did a lot of mulch, but some of the like 20 yard or more mulch jobs, sometimes I would, pawn those off. I would refer those away because it would just take me and the 2 or 3 other guys I had, throughout the years, so much time to get that done. And so I just couldn't capitalize on all the opportunities, and we could trim some bushes, but some people had bushes for days. And it's like, good grief, I spent all day on one property trimming bushes with 2 or 3 guys, like you need a whole team. So, this friend of mine, his company's got multiple crews. He's over $1 million in revenue now. He's got multiple maintenance crews, multiple enhancement crews, which they do all the, landscape maintenance, like, the trimming and the, weeding and the mulch and all that kind of stuff, plantings and everything. So it just made sense. He already bought another local company, like another solo guy bought like all of his storage units, most of his equipment, all of his accounts, like all that stuff. So it's becoming more of a common thing for some of the bigger businesses. If you can afford it, you can grow a lot quicker. I know a friend of ours, Marvin Salcido, has been made that a habit
The
of
king
his.
of acquisitions.
Yeah, exactly. But that's a way to really leapfrog, your business without having to put in so much work and time and money into marketing and, vetting and all the things, of growing your business the more traditional way. If you can find a business that looks successful or at least part of it and buy it or part of it, then you can, go leaps and bounds that way. So that's what I did for him. We talked about it because he's already familiar with it and he bought that route. So yeah, so this way I knew I wasn't just giving all those, I wasn't just, saying bye to all those people and letting them fend for themselves or give them referrals and hoping for the best. Like I was able to have a nice handoff, at the end of the year, before the beginning of the year, like here's a handoff, here's, this company. And it's actually Charles Nelson with Stepping Stone Landscaping for anyone that's heard any of my episodes or anything. But he's a reliable company and a good friend, so I knew they'd be in good hands. So it was bittersweet, but it was better than at the end of the day. I wanted what was best for my clients. Like, of course, I got a little bit of money out of it, but versus none. But I just really wanted a good transition for my clients. I didn't want to just leave them high and dry because some of those people I had been mowing, taking care of their property for 6 7 years since the neighborhood started building and growing, and some of the clients I actually had from since day one 10 years ago, but they moved from one neighborhood to that neighborhood, and they were like, oh, can you come in? And that's how I even got in that neighborhood in the first place. I didn't even know what it was. It was just brand new being built. They only had a couple of roads in there. Now it's this massive HOA, that everybody wants a piece of because they're all $1 million homes and all this stuff. So we're like, why would you sell that route? Well, because it's the most profitable route. So you're going to get the most for it. Why would I sell the crappiest route? You know what I mean? I'm going to sell, and it's also the most tedious for one person because they're big properties with a lot of details, a lot of work. It took us a long time to get those properties done, even with a crew. And it was taxing, especially on these hot summer Virginia days. So that's kind of the update for me there. It's probably all brand new for you, right, Cody?
Yes, yeah, yeah, that is all new info for me. Can I ask, without you giving like actual financials, how did the negotiation for selling that route go? Like, did you do like a multiplier of how much it brings in a month or a year? What did that look like?
Yeah, so basically, I think he had kind of made up something with his, with the previous purchase he made with where was the whole company. So he kind of had that, but there was, after the fact, of course, there's hindsight, right? And there's a lot of pros and cons that he thought of that he would do differently if he did it in the next time. And then I had been hearing a lot about Marvin talking about it. So when the chance arose, when I was at the huge convention last August doing Pod Row, I knew Marvin was going to be there, and a lot of other mutual folks like Jonathan Potoshnik happened to be there too, not doing anything specific other than just hanging out and catching up with some old friends. He might have been a part of some like behind the scenes mastermind things, but he wasn't like a speaker or anything like that. But he came by Pod Row and got on a bunch of people's podcasts and made their life because some people have still had never met the lawn care millionaire in person. So that was a fun opportunity to give to folks. But so Marvin came by as well and jumped on a bunch of podcasts, and which was also amazing and made people's day. When he was on my podcast, I asked him specifically details, selfishly, without him realizing it, like all about mergers and acquisitions. Like what do you look for to sell a bit? So I got all the details. And he said that there's nothing out there yet, but he plans on, at the time on my podcast, he said, I plan on writing a book or creating a program or something to kind of have some sort of standardization, or give some guidelines for people because it's like the wild, wild west. Like it's not really a thing that anyone, there's nothing out there. People are just kind of winging it. So the way he explained it, and then I kind of took that and transferred that to Charles, and then Charles, made his own adjustments. Basically, what Marvin said is most people think their business is worth a lot more than it is. Okay, yeah, it makes $1 million in revenue, but like, is it worth $1 million? No, like not even close. Especially if you don't have your numbers right, especially if you're not, tracking anything. Like, so there's a lot of things that you need to know, like there's some basic things. Like you should always be tracking all of your services, like every single service that you provide, and how long it takes, right? With service autopilot, or I'm sure any CRM, but I use service autopilot. Marvin, a lot of us do, but it's very easy to start job, stop job, every time you do a job, right? And then that's all tracked, and you can see how many people, how many man hours, the time, and all that, so you can really keep track of that data so that you can see how profitable, plus how much you charge for all those services, whether it's mowing the lawn or a landscaping job or whatever. So you have all that data to track, so you can see the profitability, and then of course you can see the total revenue for anything and everything if you're tracking all this stuff. And the more you input into this stuff, the more buyable, your business becomes, or the more sellable, I guess, your business becomes to a potential buyer. And then also, like, a lot of people are manipulating taxes and everything at the end of the year, so they don't, they minimize their what they have to, to pay the government. So it looks like they're not even making that much money on paper because everything's a write off and all this stuff. But then, just like if you're going to buy a house, if someone wants to buy your business, it looks like you're not making that much. It looks like you're not very profitable. So instead, you have to stop playing those games and actually show your how much money your business is actually making, and not
Mhm.
play those games. Just like if you're trying to get a mortgage for the house, they need to know, okay, if you're making $500,000 in revenue, well, how much are you actually making? And if you're only if you only have like 30,000 taxable income, like what? That's oh, okay. So you got $30,000. You're not really going to be able to afford a mortgage with that. So you really got to think about that if and when you're planning on potentially selling a business or a portion of your business. So, and the other thing that Marvin said was, as far as how to price it, above and beyond all that, another way to price it is, if you're not just buying equipment, right? The biggest thing when people say they sold their business, or I bought a business, you're buying like the equipment, right? Oh, I got X amount of trucks and mowers and all that, and that's kind of what you're buying, unless you have a bunch of contracted, accounts, like commercial accounts or residential or both, that are contracted for more than that time frame, like a year or two or whatever, where if you buy it, you immediately now take over those contracts, and now you at least have guaranteed, income revenue for X amount of years or months, but instead of them just all leaving, right? If you have no contracts, then it's almost completely worthless, because there's no guarantee you're going to even get that business. So now you literally are only buying the equipment, not the actual revenue. So, and in that case, even still, it's all about, Marvin says, usually 1 to 2 weeks worth of revenue for, like, these, like, so if you think about mowing, and you mow X amount of yards per week, which is X amount of dollars, per week, X amount of thousands of dollars per week, most likely, whatever that is, 1 or 2 of those weeks, that's really all that's worth, right? Like, if you
Wow.
give all those accounts, sell all those accounts to somebody, it's like, okay, it's only X amount of thousands, however many thousands of dollars, depending on how big, the business is or whatever. So when you're talking about a route, of 26 yards, that's, only a couple of thousand. That's not, a huge thing. But then, because really what they're buying is the data, right? They're buying, like, instead of marketing all those clients, now they just have all of their information for you. You've automatically given them 26 clients that they can hopefully sign up, and if there's contracts, and they would just take that over. But I didn't have contract. Well, my contracts were yearly, so it ended in December, so they would have to re-sign with me, or with him, with Charles. So really, he was just buying my accounts, right? He was buying the data, buying those clients, 26 clients to market to. I send an email, they respond to the email, so they have direct contact with them. So there's no spam, there's no effort really in marketing. It's like, hey, you know, thanks for, or we were excited to take over, but, let's schedule a meeting. Like, they just hit the ground running and hopefully convert all, or most of those accounts. And then he added in some extra things, like bonuses, like, after 6 months, whoever they get and that's still with them, I get a percentage of that, like X amount of
Right.
dollars per account. And anyone that contacts me in that neighborhood, like, for a quote, and I
Hey.
refer to them, and then they get that account, I get like $20 or something like that as like a referral thing, like, for just for that. All I'm doing is just forwarding an email, So there's a
Mm.
couple little bonuses like that. So it's not really like, I'm breaking the bank or anything, making a ton of money. It's just, it's just something, for all the work. But if I hadn't tracked all the data, if I didn't have all 26 accounts in one neighborhood, and, you know, all the things I just talked about, then it wouldn't be as attractive, right? So so Marvin definitely helped with that without realizing it. And then, Charles and I just kind of worked it out together. And from what I understand, he kept or got most of those 26 accounts, and then got a whole bunch of new ones that weren't even my accounts, from either people I forwarded, or people that saw them in the neighborhood, or were referred to them because they're in the neighborhood now. So now they're gaining more clients. So now they're in there for a couple of days, just banging it out. So I think it's definitely been worth it for them to be able to expand in that neighborhood. So it's all been working out so far.
That's awesome. Any any kind of closing tips that you would give people who are considering maybe in the name of route density, like cutting a route off and handing off that work to somebody else?
Yeah, I mean, basically everything that I said as far as tracking everything, make sure you have a CRM. Like, you can track stuff on Excel or whatever other fun little way you have. But most companies or most people that want to buy companies or buy routes or whatever, they want something that's like, really like official, like not just some QuickBooks situation. Like they want access to a CRM. Like there was another CRM that the company was using that Charles bought, and he said he just actually paid the subscription for like 90 days or something so that he would have access, and then
Yeah.
he just logged in to it so that he had access to all of the clients that he had just bought. So this way, if a client contacted them, for mulch or something or whatever quote, he can go in and just look and see all the information. And then it gave him time to transfer the information that he needed and, all that stuff into his own system instead of it being on an Excel sheet or paper or whatever, like it's just a lot more organized that way. So that the more you can, systematize your business, the easier it'll be for you in general to run it, but also make it more attractive, and easier for a potential buyer to want to, buy your business or your route. Just have as much data as possible. How much time it took for all the services, and how much it costs, man hours, all these things, and all the CRMs do all that, and they have reporting and all that. So you just have to utilize those functions and clock in and clock out every job. It might seem like annoying to you, but like it becomes part of your, the job. It's second nature. That's just part of tracking everything. It's part of having a business. And then, the only other thing I would say is make sure you make relationships, right? People aren't going to just come out of the blue. They might, if you get big enough and attractive enough, someone might come out of the blue and just ask you, if you want to sell your business or part of it or whatever. But that's that's not as likely as you just building relationships with some of the local, business owners in your area. And one day, it was never my intention. I met Charles many many years ago. We've become friends over the years, and we meet for lunch several times throughout the year. We record podcasts together. I've made some YouTube videos with him and things like that. So um and we talk on the phone all the time. It was never my intention to ever sell anything to him or in general, but because I knew him and I knew the quality of work and he's growing and all that, I know a lot of other guys too, but they're in all different situations in this area. And he was the first one that I thought of to see if he was willing to, he actually brought it. I think I was thinking about it, and I put some feelers out, and he just picked up on it immediately and was like, "Oh, are you thinking about it?" Like whatever. So definitely building relationships so that you can, find the right people, right? You don't want to just sell it to anybody. You want to make sure you're putting your clients in the right hands and things like that. And not everyone is going to be in the position to be wanting to buy a business or routes or things like that too. So definitely building those relationships so that you can have that opportunity one day, and make sure you just track everything so that you can uh, be as attractive as possible to a potential buyer.
Yeah. Well, and then so you have cut a day of your week out so that you can focus on building up the community. What can people look forward to the rest of the year that you're working on?
Yeah, well, so what I'm really working on now, in addition to all of my events, is, well, the LCR Summit's the newest event, and Pod Row is the newest venue that it's going to be at. All this is going to be at Equip this year. It's going to be a big busy year, or a big busy week this year coming up in October. But in addition to that, I've had a lot of people over the years ask me, like as things evolve in our community with other content creators, create online training programs, books, all the above, obviously all the content that we put out, some one-on-one coaching opportunities, some other live events that content creators have. So all this has kind of been an evolution. And throughout all that, people have asked me, like members of the community have asked me if I offer any coaching or if I have any training or courses or whatever. And it's only kind of been a few here and there. And, at times I thought about trying to dabble into that. And I've tried different things, but it was never really the right fit. And just recently I realized, something that I'm actually really good at that a lot of people lately have been asking me is not only creating events, which a lot of people ask me for advice on creating events, but more so getting brand, partners, getting like brand deals for content and sponsors for events. That's what
Mm,
everybody wants to know. Everybody wants, because I work with like every major brand you can probably think of in our industry. So I have this, you know, 8-year track record of events and content. Every event from the beginning has been sponsored, and only, maybe the last 6 or 7 years out of that 8 have I had content, brand deals for my content, whether it be, equipment review exchanges, or, monetary, exchanges, things like that, compensation. But it's all been going on for all this time, and everyone has been dabbling into it little by little, trying to figure it out on their own. And everyone just sees that that's what I do, and it's just second nature. And everyone asks me like, how do you do that, or how much do you charge? This is, all these random side conversations that people will have with me whenever they see me or they DM me. It's other content creators, obviously, the new aspiring content creators. There's always new ones coming up. So I had my own coach to help me with sponsorships as well. Over the last, like, a couple years ago, I had, partnered up with someone, which helped take me to the next level when it comes to sponsorships and brand deals and knowing exactly what to ask and packages. I didn't even know anything about packages, creating packages, how to create them, giving me a template to create them, and just kind of really refining some of the things that I was already doing well. Because I came from corporate America, so I think I had an advantage over all the other content creators. Just the fact that I knew how to walk the walk and talk the talk with corporate
mm,
America. But I was also, a content creator. I was also a creative person. Like, I went to school for fine arts, college for fine arts and everything, and never really did anything with that in retail. But now, being a content creator, like, that's my creative mind is always working. So it's really been
yeah.
fun to tap into that over the last 10 years. And that's another reason why I'm very passionate about it, because I enjoy it. And then seeing all these new opportunities, it's like, oh, this, I really think there's something here, a future, and all that. But so knowing the corporate lingo, how to send an email and why and when, and just how to talk, just how to be a corporate person, like, I know, not just randomly send an email asking for free stuff. Like, I know how to structure an email and build a relationship, layer things in, and get to what I want to get to without just being bam in your face like a typical content creator, not having that entitlement mentality or any of that stuff. Like, but I wanted the same things creators wanted because I was a creator. So I had a good blend. I have a good blend of having that corporate America mentality while also being a creator, right? So I know what creators want, and I know how to get it, kind of, if you want to say that. I know how to talk the talk. So I think that really helped me in the early years of really, creating these events and making them bigger and getting sponsors and getting brand deals for my content. And then getting a coach just really refined it and made it like it was game over after that. So now I put all that together, and I started creating a course, and I'm going to offer group coaching. And I'm putting all this together to hopefully be ready to go by, the next few weeks. And then, really kind of push next year in October at Equip to really, talk about it even more. But and there's a lot of folks that have been reaching out and that have been helping. One content creator, I basically, did coaching, a one-on-one coaching, which I'm not going to do, but I did one-on-one coaching, basically creating the course with him,
Mm,
kind of doing the course with him, one-on-one coaching versus like a recorded version. I recorded it, but I mean, like, it was live, and I helped him get 50% more on a brand deal, on an event sponsorship from last year, like 50% over last year's amount that he got. And he was just like, oh my gosh, like, he was blown away just because he did exactly what I told him to do.
mhm.
So I mean, that's proof right there. So he's my first testimonial. So I'm really excited about that, because I was like super excited and looked forward to the it was just 2 phone calls too, 2 sessions that I had with him, 2 like 1 to 2-hour sessions with him, on Zoom, just going over all the things, him taking a million notes and sending him the recording so you can go back through them, and him asking me questions and answering them, and him doing exactly what I said to do. And then, boom, he sent me like, he sent me an email, like, throughout the process, he sent me a couple of emails to double check, and then it was all when it was all said and done, he got, like I said, 50% more. But I was just so excited that every time I talked to him, I couldn't wait. Like, and I was like, oh man, I think this is it here. I think I'm really finding something. Like, I really want to help. I want to help the trades, the professionals in the trades, figure out how to secure brand deals with their content and sponsorships with live events. And that's my specialty. So like I'm building a course now that's going to be out soon, and I'm going to offer group coaching. It's going to be like an evolution. Like if you're a brand new content creator, the course is best for you. If you are an established content creator and you just kind of want to take things to the next level, you can do the group coaching. The course will be included anyway, in addition to group coaching, but the group coaching is for the next level. So we can get together weekly and offer some more advanced content for you to take things to the next level. The course is scratching the surface, which is giving you all the components to go from zero to $10,000 brand deals in one course. Like literally, if you take the course and you do everything that I teach you in the course, you should be able to get at least one brand deal immediately. You obviously have to make that connection and have the conversation. But if you do everything I say, you can get up to $10,000 brand deal. And then you can afford to go buy into the group coaching. And then you can make even more than that. You can make up to 100,000 a year. If you're sponsoring, if you have events, if you have more content, ideas and more brands, we can help you also get you unstuck too. Like, because the course is one thing and you can, get your deal, but there's always going to be a conversation that you're going to have. There's always going to be a brand that's going to throw you for a loop. They're going to have some weird scenario like, oh, well, we like your 3 packages, but can you take this from that package? And they want to customize a package and all these things. And people might get all flustered and not know what the right thing to do is. So, they're going to get stuck. So that's another reason for the group coaching, is so that we can meet, every week. There's going to be the private group that you have access 24/7. So if it's in between our weekly meetups, you can maybe ask the group and someone can answer the question, or I can dip in and answer the question if I'm available, things like that, so that we can all help each other grow. And, you can get unstuck and you can keep getting these brand deals and get bigger and better brand deals and sponsorships. So that's kind of the next level thing that I'm focusing on, and just kind of adding that value to my events. Like everyone that attends my events, they'll have the opportunity to join take the course, or join the group coaching. So
Yeah.
that's something new.
The lawn care business owner to lawn care content creator to influencer to brand deal pipeline.
There you go. There you go. Exactly. And I can help you through the whole process.
Yeah. So where can people find info about the lawn care summit?
Yeah, you
LCR
can.
summit, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I mean, that's basically what it stands for. It's at the Lawn Care Rookie Lawn Care Rookie Summit. So LCR Summit. It's lcrsummit.com. So real easy. Just lcrsummit.com, and that's in October on the 14th and 15th. And it's 2 days, and one of the days we actually focus on this kind of stuff. We talk all about podcasting, YouTube, kind of, it's not the course, but, we talk about, how to attract brands, how to be professional, a little bit about sponsorships and things like that, some of the ins and outs, some of the basics. And then, you can obviously dive deeper and ask us questions in between and after and all that. But the LCR Summit's a smaller, more intimate. It's kind of like a mastermind and a conference put together, right? You have the longer presentations that are more interactive, right? So you can ask questions and they can ask the audience questions, and it's a smaller setting for that, but it's also bigger than a traditional mastermind. So there's more people in the room for you to network with, and it's also at a price that more people can afford, like a conference versus a mastermind. So it's a little hybrid of those two things together is what the LCR Summit really is. And it's 2 days, and all the presentations are up to 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours long. So it's not like a quick 45-minute, in and out presentation. or speech, or which are all great, but sometimes it's hard to really get a lot of information and taking notes as fast as he can, and it's just a lot at one time. So I really wanted to create something that was a little more of like a college, a little more learning, coaching and interactive for those who really want to get serious and not just curious about creating content, making money, building their own brand or their business, their lawn care, or, landscaping business, or any professional trade business. We had people from pest control that were there at the last one. Like anyone in the trades, it's all relevant information that you can use across the board so that you can build your business brand or your personal brand, like LCR Media or Clean Cut Lawn Care, right? Like whichever direction you want to go, YouTube, podcasting, social media, it's all the way to go. Like digital media, online presence is what it's all about. All the younger generations, they hop in and boom, they're already ahead of all of us because they just know that that's the way to go. That's what they grew up in. So they start a business and they're already all over TikTok and everything, growing their business on digitally online. So, and then the second day is all focused on the business stuff, like knowing your numbers, building a strong team and company culture, how to master your sales. A lot of great speakers that are going to be presenting those interactive sessions. And you, like I said, go to lcrsummit.com for all the information there. You can attend both days or just one of those days, whichever you're looking to get out of it. But it's going to be in Louisville, Kentucky, the week of Equip this year, October 13th and 14th.
That's awesome. Well, dude, thank you so much for giving me the big updates on what you've got going on, and I look forward to seeing you this fall.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.